Notnerd Podcast, Episode 186, Bias Confirmed.
Welcome to the Notnerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. We've got all kinds of stories today. Johnny Ives leaving Apple, Amazon's doing stuff, and more. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
I'm so glad you're here today, Nate.
Yes.
Thank you for coming to Studio One. Not that anybody cares, but we're recording a bit later in the afternoon than normal. So if you notice us falling asleep, dear listener, just nudge us a little bit.
Yeah.
I went and got some coffee as a little pick-me-up.
A little caffeine.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to thank you. Last week you were talking about your new Amazon TV device, your Fire TV, and that you bought it on Woot.
Yes.
And so I think it was actually when I was working on the show notes, I was going through Woot, and as we know, I am a very big fan of short sleeve plaid shirts.
With the pocket.
Yes, and they had some great deals on there. I got a couple, I think they were $11 a piece.
Nice.
Very nice, very lightweight.
Are they tuck cut or outside cut?
They are tuck cut. I don't do the flat bottom. I prefer the tuck cut.
Man, I just love the flat bottom. Fat bottom girl? No.
This week on
clothing.
Old Man Shirt Design with Nate and Dave. But anyways, I wanted to thank you. So Woot, I looked through all their deals the other night.
Yeah.
It was a slow night DJing, and there's very little that I actually...
It's garbage.
There's a lot of garbage, but there might be something on there where you can get a good deal, something that you actually need. So it's another resource for finding something.
Since Amazon owns them now, I feel like it's kind of their clearinghouse.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want this palette of whatever, so they put it on Woot. So.
Yeah. Last week, Dave, we were talking about Walmart and their facial recognition to help with loss prevention. And you said you were going to do a little research on if they were just creating a facial recognition database so that they could track you by your face and what you buy at Walmart.
Yeah, well, there were a couple of stories that came out, one from Engadget, The Verge, Mashable, all around June and July that were talking about the same thing. Walmart uses AI camera tech to track checkout theft at 1,000 stores. And this is great. You're in the self-check-in counter and you put something on the scale that didn't scan. Well, it'll alert the attendant and they come over and they're like, hey, what's going on, buddy? This one didn't scan. So it helps with mistakes. It helps with loss prevention. And I made the presupposition that the cameras that are facing you are used to track your face for somewhat like a loyalty card where they could track you and say you're buying this stuff and offer you ads and those type of things. Well, I couldn't find any evidence that that was going on, but I did find one article on biometricupdate.com. You're familiar. Everybody reads this website.
Everybody's first website visit of the day.
Yeah. Face first facial recognition coming to thousands of U.S. retail locations. And it's this software that's been deployed in hundreds of retail locations, and it's growing to thousands soon, says their CEO, Peter Trepp. Well, I was reading the article and I found some information regarding that stores don't really have to let you know that they're employing biometric type cameras or touch sensors or anything like that. They don't really need your consent to do this. And so the point regarding Walmart was they could be tracking your face with those scanner cameras and they don't have to tell you about it.
Yeah.
They can just do it if they want to. So I have not found evidence that that's what they're using them for, but I'm still going out on a limb and say if they're not using them for customer profiling, they're going to be doing it in the future.
Yeah. And I think I would say we've seen a turn of the tides on a lot of this privacy stuff with all the stuff that's come out over the last year.
Yeah.
And a lot with the facial recognition, the police and Amazon service. So it's very front of mind. It's not like they can really get too far sneaking too much of this stuff. And like if they start selling that data to anybody else,
what are the consequences?
There's a lot more people aware of it. Yeah.
There's no consequences. And
well, that's true. Well, let's follow up our follow-up with some follow-up.
Nice.
Last week, my pick of the week, the unapp.li, and I mentioned the Horizon app. Well, I've been playing around with the iOS 13 beta. Now, this app, the Horizon app, it'll help you straighten your videos on your phone or your device. So if your horizon is straight or is crooked, you can make it straight, make it look a little better, crop it a little bit.
Right.
Well, On iOS 13, you don't even need that. Right in the Photos app, I had some videos, and you go to edit the video within the Photos app. You don't have to go over to iMovie. You can actually straighten right in there now. So,
Yeah.
sorry, Horizon app.
Yeah. Well, this is great until you're moving it around and you turn it to the left and then the horizon is straight, and then you move the camera again, and now you have to.
Yes.
So you have to be a somewhat good filmmaker to
Yes.
begin with, but if there are slight corrections you need to make, it works great.
Yeah. So Amazon, as always, Amazon is partnering with more retailers like Rite Aid for their new counter service. So with all the Kohl's stores they're rolling out where you can return any packages to a Kohl's, they're going to have a counter pickup at a lot of Rite Aid stores. So it's a great way. I think that Rite Aid, their side of the deal, they're thinking, hey, it gets more people in our store to buy some stuff.
Yeah, you walk by the aisle and you're like, I need that magazine with the 3-headed alien baby or whatever.
Yes,
So.
yeah, I got to buy that. And then Amazon, it just gives them more of a physical presence where they can deliver a whole bunch of packages to a Rite Aid, and then people come pick them up.
I guess the use case for this would be, it's not so much for me, but some people might live in one part of the metro area and they commute to another part of the metro area, and they don't want the package delivered to their house and they can't deliver it to work. Well, look, there's a Rite Aid across the street.
Yeah.
I can just have my package delivered there, and over lunch I can go pick it up.
Or if you have prescriptions or something that are already going to be there,
if
trying
you're-
to make things more efficient. But yeah, the Porch Pirates, Amazon's trying all these different things to try to eliminate that big problem, which we know all too well. So I keep saying, well, USPS, FedEx, UPS, thanks for helping out Amazon. They're not going to need you anymore. And so to support my confirmation bias, I found an recent article.
Good, that's what I try to do.
Yes, that Amazon in the first quarter, I believe it was the first quarter of 2019, 47.6% of their shipments were handled by themselves.
That is crazy. And I'm looking at the chart here, and it shows a steady decline of the USPS, the Postal Service. Just kind of in January of 19, just kind of dives. And then UPS is kind of a parallel line. And then FedEx is a really small percentage.
Yeah.
But Amazon's line just creeps right up until it's number one. As far as those other three carriers, it's doing most of its own delivery.
Yeah, and what they're delivering this week, the new Echo Show 5, Dave. You shared this, and this is their video device.
Yes. This is the Echo Show, if you'll remember, is like a big, 10-inch tablet with a funky angled back with good speakers in it that marries together a tablet computing device and an Echo Dot into one unit. Well, this is the baby brother. This isn't the fifth version.
Oh,
this is the
okay.
Echo.
I was going to say, I
Yeah.
do not remember 5 versions of this.
The 5 stands for the 5-inch display that it has on this. And I was in Best Buy last week to pick up something for work, and I go in there and right front center there's a like a Google smart devices display.
I saw that recently.
Yeah, and Samsung, and then they had one for Amazon devices. Echoes, Echo Dots, shows, everything they have is on display in this beautiful display. And I walk by and I'm like, well, how have I never seen this before?
Yeah.
And it was the Echo Show 5 on display front and center in this thing. And so I played around with it. And I'm like, this is really cool. If you recall, I was wanting one of the Echo Spots. This is the kind of alarm clock shaped Echo Show that's got a round screen, and you put it by your bed or wherever on your desk, and it displays a clock, or it can display video or play music or whatever. They're trying all this stuff, but it's like $130. Well, the Echo Show with its 5-inch display, $89.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? $89 for an Echo Show that has all the functionality of its big brother that can just sit at your bedside table or on your desk at work. I'm very interested in getting one of these, but yeah, they just came out. Apparently.
If only you had a larger device that you carried in your pocket all the time with you, like a phone.
Yeah, but my phone has various uses.
Yes.
And the problem with multi-use devices is when you want to use the same device for two things at one time. Take my evenings, for example.
I'd love to.
Yes. So a typical evening is I want to watch something on Netflix, and I want to go through my Twitter feed, and I want to look through some emails. Well, I can't do all three of those things on my phone.
You could get a laptop.
Well, that's true.
Touché.
That's true. But then
most people are moving away from having
Yes.
a computer device.
But for the price of a phone, a Kindle, and an iPad, I could be in 3 devices for less than the cost of a laptop.
true.
So I'm not saying I do all those things all the time, but that's where the problem comes in.
There is a use case.
Yeah, so the single-use device that just lives somewhere on your counter that you can say, hey, give me the stocks, or show me my front video camera, or play a YouTube video, or a tutorial, or what time is it, for example? I want to look across the room. So something like this at that price is really nice.
Much more approachable than their other devices.
And don't forget, you can use it to control your smart home devices too, like turn the lights on or change the color of the bulb or whatever. So a very useful device for $90.
And I would highly recommend not buying one of these right now, because we are a mere 2 weeks as we record. July 15th and 16th is Amazon Prime Day. It is now a full 2-day event, which means there'll be more deals you don't care about and a couple that you do.
I think they had a missed opportunity. They need to hire our, obvious marketing firm thing that we were going to do. What they needed to do is have this dramatic opening to a Prime Day video, and it'd be like, Prime Day, July 15th and 16th. Now, Prime, and then you wait for it, and then they add an S on there. Prime Days. And then that's the video.
Yeah. Again, from our consulting agency, I don't know that 2 days helps anything, because
they
then
have
you'll
too
just
many products, I think.
You'll go, I'll wait till tomorrow to check anything out, and
But don't they expire over time?
Some of them do. Some of them, like their own devices, usually are on sale the whole time, and then they have like hourly deals, or they have limited quantities, that kind of stuff that they're continuously rolling out because everybody wants in on that, all the traffic they get for that. They're doing some big concert too with, is it Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift, some girl I don't recognize, another girl I don't recognize.
Yeah, so they're going to do some live gaming stuff with Twitch, their game streaming service they do. But Prime Day, we'll keep an eye on that, but it is coming up. Put it on your calendar. The Apple Watch. Speaking of getting the time, another reason you don't need an Echo Show 5 is you have an Apple Watch.
I do.
And you found an article stating that the Apple Watch Series 4 outsold every other smartwatch in 2018 in one quarter.
Yeah. And we've talked about this phenomenon over time. It's been a couple years now where we talked about, hey, the Apple Watch is coming out, and everybody's like, oh, it's going to suck, it's going to fail.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's going to outsell every other watch. The first quarter, what happens? It outsells every other watch. It becomes the number one smartwatch, nay, the number one watch in all of the planet Earth and known universe. And then they come out with a new, updated, more expensive model, but better in every way, except for their screen issue that I brought up before, but in almost every way. And in a mere 2 quarters, outsell every other watch for the entire year.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Even their own, Series 3.
Yeah, and I think somebody was saying something that I believe it was Apple Watches outsold all other smartwatches combined last year.
Yeah.
It's just the dominant force in smartwatches.
And I know a lot of people hate on Apple because in the US at least, the iPhone is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. And so people are like, well, I'm going to get my Android because I love to hate on Apple. But there's a reason. There's got to be a reason why people are buying these things. And the reason you and I know for the watch is that it works wonderfully with our iPhone ecosystem. Yeah. It's somewhat affordable. I mean, I bought mine for $200, I think. I use it every day for a variety of tasks. Mm-hmm. So before you hate on Apple and the Apple Watch, see what else is out there, and you might change your tune.
Yeah. Harry Potter, real quick update. So they had their opening weekend. I think my wife downloaded it. We'll have to get a review from her. But over the first weekend, they're estimating they made about just over $1 million. Well, in the first 4 days of Pokemon Go, they generated more than 28 million. So
yeah, it's not as big in the pocketbooks, but maybe it's got a longer tail on it.
I think that I've again heard on some podcast people discussing it, and they seem to really like it's a lot more advanced gameplay, and so it might just be a slow roll. It's not like it's not going to be successful.
Well, and guess what did not exist when Pokemon Go came out?
Pokemon Go?
Well, Fortnite didn't exist.
Oh, yes.
There are a lot of other properties competing with children's minds these days as far as smartphone games go. And so, Harry Potter, as great as it is, with its Wizards Unite game, it's got a lot of competition out there. Whereas Pokemon Go didn't have a lot of competition then.
Well, you know what has zero competition? Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
Keeping on our theme of video editing, no, that was not a theme that we were talking about, but it's always a theme in my life and your life. You were showing me just earlier a beautiful panorama and some stabilized video of the berry picking patch that you went to.
Smith Berry Barn
and
Sherwood, Hillsborough area.
You were following Isla around with your Osmo Pocket and doing all these fancy things. Well, what if I told you, dear listener, if you have an iPhone or a comparable smartphone with a slow motion feature, that you too could do some fancy camera work to stabilize your video? Now, Nate, have you ever tried to like pan a scene without your Osmo Pocket? Like go from left to right?
That's why I have my Osmo Pocket, because yes.
Well, because it's usually very easy to kind of get shaky. You think, man, I'm panning across the scene just super slow and super straight. And then you watch the video and it's like 60 frames a second and every little bump you can see and every little speed. So that's the first tip would be maybe turn that down to 30 frames a second and it won't be as noticeable. But that's not the tip. The tip is keep on going in your settings and switch to slow motion video.
Okay.
So when you're on slow motion video, and I utilized this technique very heavily when we went to the Painted Hills a few weeks ago with my family. You put it in slow motion mode, you hit start, and you start on one side of the scene and pan rather quickly, not like super quick, but like, let's say from left to right, 180 degrees would be like 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. That's it. That's like 3 seconds of video or 2 seconds of video. Well, when you play it back, your 3 seconds of video turns into like a 12-second nice, slow pan across the scene.
Gotcha.
And since you're moving faster when you record it, all the little foibles and bumps and ticks are not present because it's a smooth, continuous pan across the scene. So I actually did one. I was showing some friends some of my pictures, and I came across that one I did. I was like, oh, here's a video. And I was like, at first I thought it was a photo because it was so crisp and clear. And then it started playing and started panning across the scene. And it was so smooth and nice. And I had remembered, it's like, oh, yeah. And so I took the opportunity to share with them how I got such a nice pan. So I thought the rest of you might want to know.
Yeah, I like that very much. Well, our takes of the week. The big one I teased earlier, Johnny Ive, the probably the most famous designer. What do we call that?
He's an industrial designer.
Industrial designer. I was thinking material designer, but that's not what he does.
He's probably the most recognizable person who is in that profession of this decade, at least the past 2 decades. I can't think of any other person. And
he has been at Apple for a very long time, since the 90s, and he helped create that first iMac and all of the products since. He is a very crucial part of all of the design choices that Apple makes, and there's been a little rumbling and a couple things people have noticed over the years that maybe he's phasing out a little bit, and Apple's a very different company, well, since the 90s, a very different company, but it has gotten so huge over the last several years that my take on it is he wants to be able to, he does not want to be managing people every day. He doesn't want to be part of a huge corporation. He wants to design great things. That's what he's always wanted to do. And so,
he's constrained working at Apple.
Yeah, there's just a lot of other responsibilities that come as being one of the top guys at Apple. And so he's starting his own company, a design company, and his biggest customer or initial customer is going to be Apple. So he's not... there's a lot of doom and gloom, as there oft is in the tech world over this. And his new design agency is going to be called Love From, but it's
kind of like Find My.
Yeah, Find My. I'm surprised he didn't call it iDesign or something like that.
Well, he's had one foot out of the door for years now. Yeah. It started with he moved back to England. And he worked from his England office, and then he only started coming into the office a few days a week, and then he started working on these other projects. He's worked on several third-party projects with Product Red and some other charity type
Yes.
things. And so he's been doing these other things. And so it was a matter of time when you only come into the office 2 days a week. It's only a matter of time when you say, why am I coming in 2 days? You guys got this.
Yeah.
And so I think it's been a slow burn probably for the past, 10 years or so.
Yeah.
He's kind of been stepping away from
Well, and the
Apple.
other thing is he was a huge part of the Apple Park campus, the new spaceship campus.
Yeah.
He really put a lot of focus on designing that. Now that's done, and
Yeah. That was a
somebody
huge challenge.
Yeah, somebody was talking about how he really likes to design things that last. So a campus that will probably be around for 50 years.
I bet that thing's going to be there 100 years at least.
Yes. Something that he really put his mark on. And so a lot of people are like, whoa, Apple's design is doomed. Well, there's also a lot of people that think that he's kind of held them back on some of the things, some of the keyboard issues and size, and we've got to make it thinner. And so maybe
design
pulling
comes
him back
over functions.
Yes. Where maybe he just comes in and goes, well, this will never work because of this. Somebody was telling a story with the Samsung Fold phone that failed horribly and will probably never come out.
Yeah.
Somebody brought it into him when they first announced it. He looked at it and was able to say, this will not work because of this, this, this. I mean, the way the guy's brain works is unbelievable. But he's just shifting. And the guy's made, what, $1 billion off of Apple? Like he does not need money.
If he doesn't have almost $1 billion in his bank, then he's not managing his money well.
Yes, which could be the case. But so they're moving some people around, and I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to allow some other minds to step up within the company, and I'm excited to see where they go. I do not think it's the same. People want Apple to end, just like you're saying with, I'm going to go get my Android device. People want Apple to be doomed because they're the biggest, but that's not the case. You can wish what you want, but they've got some pretty smart people working there.
And we need new people occasionally to help move companies, organizations, whatever along, because society moves forward. And oftentimes, if you have the same people in the place the whole time, your company doesn't move forward.
Yeah.
And so I think this is an opportunity for the new generation to come in and really push the company where it needs to be.
And I did see there was a report today. Somebody wrote a report saying that Johnny Ive left Apple because he wasn't happy with Tim Cook's lack of interest in design, and he didn't care about that. Well, Tim Cook came out and said, nope, that is not the case.
Johnny and I love each other. We go golfing together. I'm getting better.
You're getting better. You almost got dialed in. Well, something a lot of people can dial in. Apple is now selling a blood glucose monitor in some of its physical stores. I guess they have been selling this product for a while, but it's a very Apple-y blood testing device.
I've missed this one. I haven't seen it there.
And I think they just recently put it in the physical stores. I think they had it on their website for a while where they can have a lot more products, but connects with your phone so you can track everything, keep your data. And I believe you have a similar device we've talked about before.
Yeah, a very inexpensive Walmart version.
Yes.
Actually, I may have purchased it off of Amazon. I can't remember.
One of the two.
Yeah, but this is not comparable in any way. This is a beautiful, what appears to be a stainless steel device.
Yes.
Mine's a very cheap plasticky type.
Yeah. Well, it probably works almost as well. Just doesn't. Johnny Ive wouldn't approve of yours, where he would
probably
of this
not.
one.
The industrial design of the snap together plastic is probably not what he would sign off on.
I found a article about my favorite game, Candy Crush.
Of course you did. Confirmation bias again.
It is important. Well, one of their top executives has revealed that more than 9 million players a day spend from 3 to 6 hours or more playing the game. So 9 million. But here's the thing. You might go, that's a lot of people. There are 270 million daily players of Candy Crush.
So the 9 million is at any given time?
Any day, or there are people that play more than 3 hours a day. So
I gotcha.
3.4% of Candy Crush players play more than 3 hours per day.
Out of a pool of a much larger group.
Yeah, out of 270 million.
Gotcha.
While 0.16%, about 432,000, play for 6 or more hours per day.
Why? Aren't they to the end yet?
No,
they're just terrible.
They release so many levels.
They have an army of people making levels because they don't want people to catch up.
Yeah. They I think they release, it's like 14 new levels like every week or two.
You know what they're going to do?
And they get harder and harder.
One of these times, they're going to come up with the idea, ooh, what if we give all of our users an incentive to refresh the game and start over at level 1? And go back through all the levels again with some handicap or something like that.
Yeah, I would be interested in that. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun, and obviously a lot of people are playing it. And then they were talking about one guy. There was one player who spent $2,600 in one day in the game, but he said don't jump to conclusions in assuming a person had a problem. He said the player took advantage of a sale of bundles of the gold bars that get you extra perks and bonuses in the game, and they used those over like a 9-month time. So you have to look at the holistic cost. For most people, $2,600 is not something you should be spending on Candy Crush. But he was defending the game, but giving those stats of how much people are playing it.
He said he was going to spend this money anyway over time, so he took advantage of a sale. Much like you, when there's a $75 or $100 Apple gift card, you can get for $75. You buy 2 of them because you know you're going to spend that money later. Give us a couple of taste of the sayings that the guy says. Does he say like tasty or what are some of the things? What do they say?
I have my sound off, so I was using it on my Pixel device and the sound was still turned on, and I was like, what are all these sounds?
What are some of the phrases?
Tasty, or I honestly I don't remember because it's been years since I've heard most of them.
I was hoping to get some fun sound bites.
No, too bad. Well. I've let you down once again. Speaking of game addiction, there was an article, a report looking at China's battle to keep internet addiction in check. And apparently in China in 2008, which is very early, they recognized internet addiction as a problem. And they've got a profile of one of these. It's kind of like a boot camp detox where a lot of parents will send their teenagers.
I figured imprisonment was something, in this mix of what they were doing.
And they also mentioned in the article there's a lot more oversight so that they're not using electroshock therapy or any of these forms that were reported to be used
illegal
before.
Drugs.
But just
Agent
an
Orange.
interesting look of some of the numbers and everything in China and how they're dealing with it. But most other countries have not recognized it as an addiction and something that can, money can be put towards to as much as China has. Yeah, a lot of people playing games. They're talking about kids that, are wearing adult diapers so that they don't have to leave their game and play for days. So they have 12.
Wow.
I think there's 12 different symptoms that they kind of look at, much like other addictions, where it's like, how much is this affecting your daily... If you're playing Candy Crush for an hour before bed versus you're not able to eat and you're getting sickly because...
Or you're not going to work in the morning because you have to get past the level.
Yes. So you can read that if you like. And a quick note, we are the most nonpartisan tech podcast on the internet. And while I was looking up this story, I heard about it yesterday, I think Sunday, the last day of June. President Trump was over in China and made a quick visit to North Korea and was doing some stuff over there. Well, apparently the new tariffs will not be imposed by the United States for products coming from China, which the tech angle, Apple's saying, hey, this is going to cost us a lot more to get phones. Do we move our production? Everything made in China. One of my clients makes products in China and trying to import those and trying to figure out if you can get them imported before the tariffs go in place, because there's going to be 25% on a lot of things, which really affects the bottom line.
Yeah, and you pass that on to the customers, and then customers are like, oh, maybe I don't need that product.
Yeah. So that is good news. Seems like that is good news for getting products from China, and we will. Who knows where it will go next? Security and privacy stories of the week. There's another Florida city that paid the ransom, and
what was it? This Week in Tech yesterday.
Yes,
listed off all the Florida.
Yeah,
there's like 5 different Florida.
Florida does not. They're not following the one backup is none backup, but
no, they keep getting hit with these cyber crimes against their city municipalities, which are putting ransomware on all of their equipment and hard drives and everything. And so they have to pay money to get the crypto keys to unlock this stuff. And I can't imagine living through that.
Yeah, it is a good reminder, even if you don't work for a city government, if you do have a business or even your own. They were telling a story on that TWIT episode about when the panel, their dad had fallen for it a couple times, and they paid for it once, and they were able to kind of get some stuff figured out. But it can happen to anyone. It's just usually city governments are a little behind on keeping everything updated. But I think that's going to be changing.
Yeah.
I think maybe I need to start marketing towards small city governments in Florida. Do you want to move to Florida with me, Dave?
Well, at certain times of the year, I think it's really nice.
Yeah.
Now, if you're out there and you're thinking, oh, I really need to get my stuff together, I don't know where to start, just call Nate up at consistenttech.com, have a conversation with him, and I'm sure he can set you straight.
Yeah, I can get you much closer to where you need to be. One of the things, two-factor authentication, we always talk about, getting that set up on your main accounts, your bank account, where they send you the code. I've got it on my email, several different accounts. Well, I always thought, why doesn't Amazon have more of the security? After a quick Google search, they do. So I've got a link in the show notes for turning on Amazon two-step verification. So I have it set up in my Authy app, which is what I use, where it shows all the 30-second codes. So then that way, if somebody, I have a super long, strong password for my Amazon account, but if anybody was able to get the information, they will not be able to log in unless they also had my phone. So I highly recommend that for any account you care about. Check to see if they have a two-step verification or two-factor authentication method. It will keep you much more secure. And another article that I found was a very interesting take. We talk a lot about LastPass and using a password manager. There's several different options. But this was by Stuart Schechter. Schechter.
That's an easy word to say.
Yes. He starts it off. I cringe when I hear self-proclaimed experts implore everyone to use a password manager for all of your passwords and turn on two-factor authentication for every site that offers it. To which I'm like, thanks a lot. You must have been listening to the podcast because that is me. I still do recommend him, but it is a different take on it. He talks a little bit about the biggest weakness for a password manager is that if somebody gets access to your password manager,
then you're in trouble.
And the same with two-factor authentication if they get access to that as well. But I think as long as you have a really unique, strong password for your password manager, you're probably okay because they go out of business if they have any sort of breach. So they're doing what they can. But he's just saying, what he suggests is for your main, your email account, your banking accounts, that you don't even store that in your password manager. I think it's a lot easier. Just use LastPass, but it was a very different perspective. Something that I hadn't heard was kind of this take of be careful using password managers. He kind of backs off his initial statement as articles are off to do.
They want to get your eyeballs and then they tell you
and he also talks about, you may forget the master password that protects your other passwords, so then you get locked out of all your passwords, which then you should be able to reset them. So he gives some points, but I still think you're better off using LastPass and two-factor authentication.
I agree.
Our bonus odd take of the week, I've actually got two. We were talking about Hot Wheels the other week. There is a YouTube channel that I found through kotkey.org, and this is one of those there's a YouTube channel for everything. This guy restores vintage toys to like-new condition. So he just creates these cool-looking little videos, like he's got an old dump truck, Tonka dump truck.
Yeah.
It's all rusted out, and he takes it apart piece by piece and gets new parts. And
I've seen this channel.
Yeah, sends it down in paint. So if you're interested in all of that, it's very calming and very fun to see the detail that he puts into restoring these. And the second one, speaking of the iOS 13 betas that we're both running on our iPad, there's another guy on YouTube that is seeing what, because it's external device access is something that's coming for iPad OS. And he's been trying different devices. He tried a zip disk and jazz drive. Well, on this one, he attempted to attach a floppy drive to iOS 13.
I'm impressed he still had one laying around.
He did go buy one from Amazon, just a USB one, and that one did not work. And I think I know why, but then he had another one that was some other like super drive thing that was also compatible with floppies. I think the reason was it needed external power. But once he did that, he was able to access the floppy drive and save files to it. Sorry for the spoiler alert on that, but you're probably not going to go watch that.
Well, and it's probably something you're not going to do because that 1.44 megabytes is not going to go very far these days.
No, that's half a picture.
Yeah.
Yes, and the
One
floppy
MP3
drives
file.
are not going to make a comeback just because you can use them with iOS 13.
Well, in light of this, when I was at Goodwill this weekend on an excursion, my daughter and her friend and I went on to Seattle. In the bin of electronic garbage there at Goodwill, there was an iOmega zip disk, and I thought of this very use. I was like, I wonder, can I make that work with my iPad?
Yeah.
But I did not want to spend the $6 or whatever it was
No,
to buy it.
you probably made the right choice. And you know what else is always a right choice? Our picks of the week.
So I've been pondering the past couple of weeks of using this as my pick of the week. And there I have two listed there, so you're probably like, which one is he going to pick? This one is Wall-E. And I'm not talking about the cute little Pixar movie starring the robot. This is a smartphone, a tablet device wallpaper app. Now, the wallpaper is the picture you might put behind your desktop area on your phone or tablet. I love looking at wallpapers and downloading wallpapers and installing wallpapers and then deleting them.
Yes.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Well, Wall-E is a free application. It has ads and it has in-app purchases, but they're never intrusive. You can kind of ignore all that stuff and just use it. It's organized in different categories. It's free for Android and iOS, and it's just a great free little wallpaper app. If you're looking for one, if you've gone through dozens of them trying to find a good one, check out Wall-E, Walli.
I picked this week a product that I had been meaning to buy for probably a year at least, and finally was at a time and a place where I sat down and said, I'm going to find a good solution for this problem. I enjoy listening to podcasts. I don't know if you knew that about me.
I've heard that before.
And when I get in the shower, I'll often throw a podcast on. And with the great speakers on the iPhone, I've used Bluetooth speakers in the past, but the phone's loud enough now that I can hear it. And I was precariously sitting it up like in the little corner up on top of the shower, on top of the tile.
Yeah.
And once or twice, it might have slipped off there and fallen down. And the phone's waterproof, and it's in a case, so it was okay. But I said, you know what? There's got to be a better solution for this. So I don't even remember where I found it, but I purchased the 4-pack plug holder hook razor holder for shower sticking wall self-adhesive for hanging kitchen bathroom double hook brush stainless steel.
Did you happen to get this off of Walmart.com or is this an Amazon product?
Oh, it was Amazon.
Okay.
How'd you know? So what these are is, I'll show you a picture. They're very small stainless steel. It's like a flat back, and then there's two kind of hooks. So you could put a razor in there. You could put something like that. But it also works really well to put my phone into. I just have it up on high up on the shower wall, set it in there, and it sits in there very nicely.
Yeah, it's not something you could probably hang off of.
No.
If you're into gymnastics or
no, probably
it's just a small
not.
thing. It's a pack of 4, or were there just 4 in the picture?
It was a 4-pack.
And you're probably going to want to know if I can guess the price.
Hey, Dave, what would you pay for this?
The main question is the quantity for.
Yes.
The second one, is it stainless steel or
yes,
is it plastic?
It is
that looks
brushed stainless steel. So it is actually metal, very strong adhesive. It is a well-built, a Johnny Ive inspired.
I don't think so. Well, being that it's stainless steel and there are 4 of them, I'm going to go ahead and just carry the one.
And they're using official 3M adhesive on there.
Oh, well, geesh. Now I have to recalculate.
Yes.
Divide by 2 the area surface of the sun. I'm going to go with these were $8.99.
Oh man, you would have paid too much. $7.79.
Well, that's close.
Yes, which reminds me, a quick sidestep. I just watched a documentary last night on Netflix
called "Guess That Price."
I think it might be The Price is Right. It's a documentary on a guy that basically figured out The Price is Right and looks back and I have fond memories of watching it back in the day with Bob Barker. Bob Barker's in it some, the producer of the show.
So they had a system on doing the prices?
Well, he had a just amazing math memory, and he started realizing that they would do the same prizes over and over again. So he had in his head every price of what they would show, and so it goes through his story. It's a fun little watch. It's
wow.
If you have any affinity for The Price is Right, Drew Carey's on there as well, the new host.
Are they still making that show?
I could not tell you, but it's a short little documentary. It's fun. Watch that. I'll put a link in the show notes to that.
I bet they are, because it would probably be national news if they were to shut down that show.
Yes. Our Ramazon purchase of the week. We love it when you guys go to Amazon and you go through amazon.notnerd.com, because then we get a little affiliate fee for anything that you purchase, which helps fund the show. This week, I almost didn't select this one, but I wanted to see if you could guess what this would cost, Dave.
Okay. More Price is Right fun.
Yes, our thoughts and prayers go out to whoever is having to use these. Yes. The product is Vet's Best Comfort Fit Disposable Male Dog Diapers, absorbent male wraps with leak-proof fit.
No, this is horrible.
Yeah, I know. It's.
I feel sorry for the dog and the owners.
Yes, yeah. So these are Vet's Best Comfort Fit Disposable Male Wraps. So they're for male marking, urinary incontinence, and excitable urination. So I guess the dog doesn't necessarily have to be sick.
Yeah.
It just helps with them not peeing everywhere, which I can understand.
It could be a puppy. Or here's another take. What if it's one of these dog owners who insists on taking their dog everywhere?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, to the Chinese buffet, to the grocery store, to the movie theater, to the what you name it. Maybe it's one of these people who just put it on there and be like, don't worry, my super hygienic, clean dog is in a diaper.
Yes.
So
yeah,
that could be. You might. I think I opened the door a little bit to the insight of how I feel about people who bring their dogs everywhere. But
we are definitely not the most nonpartisan
when it comes to dog
animal.
Yeah. So anyway, the task at hand is to determine what these cost and how many were in a package.
So there's 3 sizes, small, medium, or large, and this is a 12 count. So 12 disposable male wraps for the dog diapers. They have a 144 count box as well, but the 12 of these things.
That's got to be $6.99.
Wow, that is I think the closest you've been, but still being off. You would have been doing good on The Price is Right, as long as this other guy that didn't know the exact price.
Yeah.
$7.03.
Yeah, I think I nailed it a couple weeks ago. Exactly.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Which there's also a story about that in the documentary. You got to go watch that Price is Right documentary.
Let's pause the show. I'll watch it and we can resume later.
But this is another great example of how you can get just about anything on Amazon. They have a subscribe and save option. So if you just want them to show up, that's really helpful. That's what we do for child diapers and wipes. Not which we had a dog that we should have used these on. Now that I've gotten past the just a sick dog, it's for dogs you don't want peeing places. Makes a lot of sense.
Well, it sounds like a great product. So.
Yes. Vet's Best. So it must be good. Veterinarian recommended. We're going to wrap up this show because we have recommended and shared many things with you over the course of this episode.
Well, but wait, Nate, I put in the notes. I bought you a gift because it was, it's not that late. Your birthday was only, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
at this point.
It was 2 weeks ago.
And I was a bad friend and I didn't get you anything. And so I forced you to give me your Amazon wish list.
Yes.
Which had a wide variety of products.
As you can imagine.
And I was hoping to goodness that it had been updated.
Yes.
And there weren't items on there that you didn't want or that you'd purchased already. And so I thought something that was within my price range, also somewhat food related, to feed into your.
I'm trying to scan through the list in my head of what it is.
Well, I think I
have an idea.
I was hoping you didn't see it on the Ramazan purchase of the week. And then, price conscious, food related, and had a technology angle to it. I think I hit all three.
Wow.
So in that vanilla manila envelope over there, if you can reach it without wrecking the thing. Now, this is what they chose to ship it in, which a bubble wrapped manila envelope.
Yes.
So what is this?
Oh, yes.
It wasn't real good on the box.
Oh,
but
I love this. This is the Hyper Chiller mixed iced coffee instantly. This has been on my list for years. I update all the time because my mom always asks. My wife usually looks on there.
Yeah.
And this was, I need to tell my mom next time, just buy like 5 or 6 of the cheaper things like that. But this is something I've wanted. So it's the Hyper Chiller. It's a kind of a cozy-esque, like my canned cozies.
Yeah.
But what you do is you have this.
It's like a cylinder.
And
before, I'll have you know, I did some research and I watched a couple reviews, and there was this one guy who went clear through it. He showed us how to use it and everything, and I thought this actually will work. And he did tests and timed the stuff, and it was great.
So, Dave, since you watch all these videos, I'm a little rusty on it. How does it work?
So there is an outer chamber that is stainless steel. Then there's an inner chamber made of stainless steel, and this tumbler, this large like tumbler type device. And what you do is you fill the outer cylinder and the inner cylinder with water. You freeze it. Now, the next morning you come in, you make a hot piping 190 degree pot of coffee, and you pour up to 12 ounces into this tumbler. And is it not only cooled on the outside, but also on the inside of this tumbler. So it super cools your coffee so that they claim 60 seconds. I think it's probably going to be more like 120 seconds.
Yes.
You can have 40 to 50 degree cold brewed coffee.
Wow. That is great. This is reminiscent of the Spin Chill, which you could watch the Spin Chill video on our Notnerd YouTube channel.
It's very similar.
I could have used this morning because I drank all my cold brew coffee, and I was like, I'd like some more coffee, but cold brew takes a while. So I am excited to use this.
And if you had like a Keurig, you could just stick this under the thing, hit start, and it pours the hot coffee right inside this thing. And then a minute later, you pour it into your cup and you go off to work.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much.
Well, you are welcome.
I'm very excited to give this a try. I will report back on that.
Yeah.
Now that I've gotten gifts, we will wrap up this episode. Like I said, check out our YouTube channel, leave us an iTunes review, share the podcast with somebody who could learn for it or would enjoy it, and check out our Patreon where you can sign up to sponsor us and get some various rewards over time for doing that.
Nondescript time frames on those rewards.
Yes. Eventually is we need to add on there. But with that, get out there and tech better. Testing 1 2 3 test 1 2 testing test test-a-rooney test testing.
I'm at your disposal, my fiend.